Chosen one, stop for a moment and listen closely. Have you ever wondered why, just when everything seemed to align, suddenly people vanish from your life? Why doors that once opened easily now feel sealed shut? It's not a coincidence. Heaven has initiated a separation. Have you felt as though God himself was pulling you away from those you once loved? Have you noticed the silence in your life growing louder, where conversations used to fill your days? Now there's divine quiet. This is not rejection, it's redirection. When God marks a person for elevation, he first removes them from environments that cannot sustain their next level. You see, isolation is not a punishment. It's a spiritual filtration process. God is clearing out the noise so you can hear his frequency clearly. Those who cannot comprehend your next season must exit before the transformation begins. Beloved chosen one, you must understand, God doesn't separate you because he's angry. He separates you because he's strategic. What feels like isolation is actually preparation. Have you noticed how your spirit feels uneasy in places that once felt comfortable? That's because your spirit has outgrown the environment your body still lives in. God begins to make your old life uncomfortable when your next level is calling. Remember Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, imprisoned for years. It wasn't random misfortune. It was a divine route to the throne. Likewise, your separation is a sacred setup. God hides you to refine your purpose, to purify your motives, to teach you the way to the calling before you carry the crown. Chosen one, type "Refine me, Lord," in the comments if you're ready to let God finish what he started. Share this message with someone who feels alone, because their isolation might be holy ground in disguise. Chosen one, pay attention. Sometimes God closes doors you've been begging him to open, not because you're unworthy, but because he's protecting you from what's unprepared for you. Have you ever been confused by unanswered prayers? You applied, you prayed, you pushed, but heaven was silent. It felt like rejection. But what if it was protection? Every divine promotion comes with divine restriction. When God is ready to elevate you, he cuts access to people, platforms, and paths that could sabotage your future. What you call loss, heaven calls insulation. Remember, God is not taking things away. He's removing distractions disguised as opportunities. Chosen one, when God separates you, he often introduces you to silence. This silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of God training your spirit to recognize his whisper. In this stage, many panic because the familiar voices fade, but heaven does this deliberately. God wants to recalibrate your ears so that you no longer depend on the applause of people, but on the sound of his instruction. Have you noticed that when God begins to elevate you, distractions lose their flavor? Conversations that once thrilled you now drain you. People you used to rely on no longer feel aligned. That's because your spirit has entered a new frequency, and those who haven't evolved with you can no longer interpret your purpose. In the silence, you are being taught to see without sight, to trust without evidence. This season tests your patience, your endurance, and your faith. You'll pray and feel nothing. You'll worship and hear nothing. Yet this is when heaven watches most closely, not to punish you, but to see if you'll keep walking even when the path disappears. It's a sacred test of loyalty. God doesn't promote the gifted. He promotes the proven. In this quiet space, divine downloads begin. Ideas, revelations, and visions emerge in moments when no one is watching. That's how prophets are made, alone in the desert, hearing what others can't. The wilderness becomes your womb of greatness. Chosen one, do not curse the silence. Embrace it, because when heaven is quiet, it's not ignoring you. It's observing how you respond when your only teachers trust. If this season has left you in solitude, don't despair. It means your preparation is in progress. Chosen one. Sometimes elevation requires separation from the people you love most. The betrayal, the distance, the misunderstandings, they aren't random. God allows certain connections to expire because he knows they can't handle the version of you he's building. The same people who celebrated you in your previous season might reject you in this one. That's not cruelty. It's divine protection. You must understand that everyone who started with you is not anointed to finish with you. Some relationships were only designed for a chapter, not the full story. When you try to hold on to what heaven has released, you delay your own growth. God removes people not out of anger, but because he's making space for destiny-aligned connections who see you through heaven's lens, not through human limitation. It hurts when those you trusted turn away. It feels unfair when your loyalty is met with distance. But the truth is this: if God allowed everyone access to you, you would never learn how to discern the difference between attachment and assignment. Not all company is covenant. Some are simply comfort. And comfort can become a cage when you're meant to fly. Every divine elevation requires a thinning of the crowd. Even Jesus, before the transfiguration, took only 3 disciples up the mountain. Separation is a filter. God removes those who can't handle your transformation. If they left, it's because they were never meant to see the next chapter of your story. Chosen one, release them with peace. The same God who removed them will replace them with divine partnerships that strengthen your spirit and multiply your impact. Do not chase after who left. Focus on who's coming. Because when God elevates you, he surrounds you with those who recognize your calling, not those who compete with it. Chosen one, before God can elevate you, he refines you. And refinement always feels uncomfortable. It's a spiritual fire designed not to destroy, but to purify. Everything impure within you, fear, pride, doubt, distraction, must burn away before you can carry heavenly weight. That's why this season feels heavy. You're being processed for power. In the natural, gold doesn't shine until it's placed in the furnace. The heat exposes hidden imperfections and forces impurities to the surface. Likewise, God allows trials, delays, and disappointments to bring out what's been buried in your spirit. Not to shame you, but to shape you. Every challenge you face right now is a flame refining your purpose. During this fire, you may feel stripped of everything: resources, relationships, recognition. But remember, God is not taking from you. He's taking out of you what cannot go with you. He's making your heart lighter, so your destiny can rise higher. The heavier your calling, the hotter your fire must be. There will be moments when you'll question if you're strong enough to endure. But chosen one, strength is not proven in comfort. It's revealed in fire. The anointing you're asking for requires endurance that can only be birthed through resistance. Do not pray the fire away. Pray for the wisdom to understand it. Because when this season is over, your glow will no longer come from the light around you, but from the fire within you. The world will wonder how you carry such peace after so much pain, but you'll know it was a refining process of God preparing you for elevation. Chosen one, when God separates you, he leads you into what feels like a wilderness. It's a place between where you were and where you're going, and in between that tests every ounce of faith you have. Nothing grows easily here. Opportunities seem distant, and clarity feels foggy. But make no mistake, this wilderness is not punishment. It is the classroom where divine maturity is born. In the wilderness, God strips away everything that could interfere with your dependency on him. You will discover that provision doesn't come from people, but from the presence. You'll learn that peace doesn't come from comfort, but from trust. Heaven uses isolation to detox your spirit from the noise of the world. Every wilderness season is designed to remove your reliance on human systems, so you can rely fully on the supernatural. Think of Moses, once a prince of Egypt, then a shepherd in exile for 40 years. That gap of obscurity wasn't wasted time. It was preparation for leadership. In the wilderness, he learned the language of solitude and the discipline of obedience. Likewise, your wilderness season is equipping you for authority. God can't give dominion to someone who still depends on crowds for validation. It's in this quiet terrain that heaven shapes your voice, sharpens your discernment, and trains your hands for spiritual warfare. You begin to hear differently, think differently, and walk differently. You stop reacting and start responding. What used to break, you no longer does, because you're being built from the inside out. So if you feel forgotten, you're actually being forged. The wilderness is not the end. It's the birthplace of greatness. God has you hidden, not buried. Stay faithful in this space. Chosen one, because what he's preparing in private will soon be revealed in power. Chosen one, there is a kind of loneliness that doesn't come from rejection, but from revelation. When God reveals who you are, you can no longer blend in where you used to belong. Your conversations change, your appetite shifts, and suddenly, the things that once entertained you no longer satisfy your spirit. This is the loneliness of purpose, and it's sacred. Many fear this kind of isolation, but it's a necessary part of divine growth. God separates you from the crowd, so he can reintroduce you to your calling. Every great move of God begins with a person who dared to walk alone. Abraham left his family. David hid in caves. Elijah ran to the wilderness. Each one was pulled away to receive instruction that couldn't be heard in noise. During this season, don't misinterpret divine loneliness as abandonment. It's not that people don't see you. It's that they can't perceive you. Your spirit has entered dimensions they have not yet encountered. Heaven isolates those it intends to illuminate. You are being prepared to stand before kings. And that kind of platform requires solitude to strengthen your foundation. As you walk through this loneliness, God is rewiring your identity. He's teaching you to find companionship in his voice, not in the crowd's opinion. You begin to understand that solitude is not emptiness, it's intimacy. The deeper the loneliness, the louder the revelation becomes. Chosen one, embrace the solitude with reverence. It's in these moments that God whispers your true name, your real assignment, and your eternal value. Those who can stand alone with God are the ones he can trust to stand publicly for him. Don't run from it. Rest in it. Your purpose is being defined in this quiet isolation. Chosen one, you may have noticed that no matter how carefully you plan, heaven has a way of interrupting your schedule. The things you thought would work suddenly collapse. The people you expected to help you disappear. The path you mapped out becomes unclear. This is not chaos, it's divine interference. When God is elevating you, he disrupts every plan that wasn't built on his blueprint. We often assume that separation means loss, but sometimes it's direction. God will interrupt your plans to protect your purpose. He will close opportunities that look good, but carry hidden snares. He will remove timelines that feel delayed but are actually out of sync with his perfect timing. When heaven intervenes, confusion often precedes clarity. That's why this stage feels uncomfortable. It's your spirit adjusting to a new rhythm of obedience. Every great transition begins with a divine interruption. Remember Mary, the angel appeared unannounced, shifting her entire future. Or Paul, stopped on the road to Damascus, blinded for 3 days before discovering his destiny. Interruptions are heaven's way of saying, you're ready for redirection. Chosen one, don't mourn over what didn't work out. If it failed, it was never part of your elevation. God doesn't make mistakes. He makes adjustments. That sudden shift, that unexpected loss, that painful ending, those are indicators that your alignment is changing. Heaven will unsettle you when it's time to reposition you. So instead of asking, why did this happen to me? Ask, what is heaven protecting me from? Every delay, every closed door, every redirection is preparing the road for divine acceleration. When your plans crumble, lift your head. God is writing a story no human plan could produce. Trust the interruption. It's the doorway to your promotion. Chosen one, detachment is one of the hardest lessons God teaches before elevation. It feels like loss, but in truth, it's liberation. God begins to unhook your heart from everything temporary, so you can attach fully to what's eternal. The tighter you cling to what's fading, the longer it takes for what's promised to find you. That's why he prunes relationships, removes distractions, and cuts cords that once felt like lifelines. You see, divine elevation requires emotional discipline. God cannot lift those who are bound by sentiment. The same heart that loves deeply must also learn to release quickly. Abraham loved Isaac, yet when God asked for him, Abraham didn't hesitate. That kind of obedience is rare, but it's the doorway to divine favor. Heaven only trusts those who can surrender what they treasure most. Detachment is not coldness, it's clarity. It's the moment you stop confusing attachment with alignment. Many stay in places God left long ago, thinking loyalty will make things last. But chosen one, your loyalty must belong to purpose, not comfort. When God calls you higher, he will make you restless where you once felt at home. That restlessness is a signal. Move forward. It hurts to let go of what once defined you. The memories, the routines, the people who were part of your yesterday, all of them shaped you. But not all are meant to travel with you. Detachment doesn't mean dishonor. It means growth. You honor the past by stepping boldly into your future. So when you feel God stripping away your attachments, remember, he's not taking things to leave you empty. He's making room for what's divine. Every empty space is an invitation for new glory to dwell. The faster you release, the faster he can refill. Chosen one, every elevation is preceded by a season of obedience. Before God trusts you with influence, he tests your willingness to follow unseen instructions. This is where many stumble. They want promotion but resist the process. Yet, it's in the small, quiet acts of obedience that giants are made. When God separates you, he doesn't only test your patience. He measures your obedience under pressure. Will you still worship when it's lonely? Will you still move when he gives no explanation? Heaven measures your readiness not by what you say, but by what you surrender. True obedience is not convenient. It's costly. It demands faith when reason fails. Look at Noah. He built an ark for a flood no one had seen. People mocked him, but his obedience preserved a generation. Likewise, what God is asking you to build in private will save lives in public. You're not just obeying instructions, you're architecting destiny. Every act of obedience is a seed that births future elevation. Sometimes God's directions make no sense. He'll tell you to stay when you want to leave, or leave when you want to stay. It's frustrating, but it's divine training. He's teaching you to move by revelation, not reaction. Obedience builds spiritual muscle, and without it, your next level would crush you. Chosen one, if it feels like God is stretching your will, don't resist, yield. What he's preparing you for requires discipline disguised as discomfort. You are being conditioned for command, and every test of obedience today is unlocking authority for tomorrow. Chosen one, every elevation begins with a breaking. Before the oil flows, the vessel must crack. Before God multiplies your influence, He first multiplies your surrender. This breaking doesn't destroy you. It reveals what's inside you. Without breaking, there can be no pouring. Without pouring, there can be no impact. You see, we often pray for power, but forget that power is born in pressure. God breaks what He intends to bless, because only the broken can fully depend on Him. Every tear, every disappointment, every unexpected loss is part of the crushing that produces the anointing. You can't carry glory without first being emptied of self. The breaking is never random, it's targeted. God knows exactly which areas of your life need to shatter for His strength to shine through. It might be your pride, your independence, or your plans. When He breaks you, it's not punishment, it's transformation. What feels like the end is actually the molding of a new vessel. Chosen one, when you're in the breaking season, it's easy to think God has forsaken you. But this is the same process that every prophet, every warrior, every chosen vessel endured. The olive must be crushed before the oil can flow. The seed must die before the tree can live. Your breaking is proof that heaven trusts you with something precious. When this process is complete, you won't just rise, you'll radiate. The same area that broke you will become the channel through which God blesses others. So don't run from the breaking. Surrender to it, because once it's done, elevation won't just lift you. It will reveal the glory that's been hidden within you all along. Chosen one, there comes a moment in your journey when everything that once confused you suddenly makes sense. The pain, the silence, the isolation, it all begins to align like pieces of a divine puzzle. That's when revelation enters. God begins to show you why He took you the way He did. What once felt like punishment is revealed as precision. Every tear was a teaching. Every delay was direction. In this moment, your spiritual sight sharpens. You begin to discern patterns you couldn't see before. You realize that the doors God closed protected you from premature exposure. You understand that the betrayals were divine editing, removing characters who couldn't play a role in your next chapter. What once felt random now feels intentional, and peace starts replacing frustration. Revelation is heaven's reward for endurance. Those who don't quit in confusion get to see what others can't. The Spirit of God begins to connect events from your past to purposes in your future. You stop asking, "Why me?" and start declaring, "Now I see." That's the power of revelation. It converts pain into purpose. Chosen one, when revelation comes, it changes your posture. You stop begging for clarity and start walking in confidence. You realize that every rejection, every detour, and every delay was heaven's choreography guiding you into destiny. Nothing was wasted. Every scar becomes sacred proof that God's hand was on your story. So don't despise the foggy seasons. They are the womb of revelation. Once you see from heaven's perspective, you'll thank God for every no, every closed door, and every lonely night. Because now you know He wasn't breaking you down. He was breaking you open. Chosen one, after the separation comes restoration, but not the kind you expect. When God restores, He doesn't return what was lost. He multiplies what remains. The isolation you endured was not empty time. It was divine investment. Heaven owes nothing, yet it always repays in overflow. Restoration begins quietly. People who once ignored you begin to notice the glow of grace upon your life. Doors that once shut begin to open without effort. But this time, you walk through them differently, humbled, wise, and anchored in discernment. The separation stripped away pride. The restoration reinstates purpose. God doesn't just give you back what you had. He gives you what you were meant to have all along. In this phase, you start to experience divine alignment. Resources flow. Opportunities find you. Peace becomes your normal. The same silence that once scared you now sustains you because you've learned how to hear God without noise. You're not chasing recognition anymore. You're carrying revelation. And that shift changes everything. People will ask, how did you survive that? They won't understand that your isolation was your incubation. You'll realize that restoration is not about going back. It's about rising up. God rebuilds you on stronger foundations. He renews your strength, refines your focus, and reconnects you only with what aligns with your destiny. Chosen one, this is where your story begins to inspire others. Your testimony becomes proof that divine separation leads to supernatural restoration. You no longer just talk about faith, you embody it. You become living evidence that when God isolates, He elevates. Chosen one, this is the moment heaven has been preparing you for, the unveiling. After years of silence, after battles no one saw, after prayers whispered through tears, God brings you to a place of visible elevation. The same hands that broke you now lift you. But this time you're not the same. You're lighter, wiser, and filled with glory. The public reveal is never about fame. It's about function. God positions you so others can see the evidence of His faithfulness. You become a living sermon. People look at your life and see what endurance through divine separation produces. You won't need to announce yourself. The fruit of your faith will speak for you. This is also where humility becomes crucial. Many are tested in obscurity, but few are tested in visibility. God will elevate you before the eyes of those who doubted you, not to humiliate them, but to demonstrate His power. Your response must remain gratitude, not arrogance. Elevation without humility leads to downfall, but humility keeps you sustained at new heights. As you rise, remember where you came from. Every lonely night, every prayer, every tear was part of your preparation. Now you carry authority because you paid the price in the secret place. The world will see the glow, but only you will know the cost. Chosen one, when God finally reveals you, don't hide your testimony. Speak boldly of His process. Tell others that separation was not the end. It was the sacred beginning. Because through you, others will learn that what feels like isolation today could be the very stage of glory tomorrow. Chosen one, elevation looks beautiful from afar, but it carries a sacred weight. When God lifts you, He doesn't remove the burden, He multiplies it. The higher you rise, the more grace you need to sustain it. Many pray for platforms, but forget that platforms expose as much as they elevate. The same fire that purified you in private now keeps you refined in public. Elevation is not a reward. It's a responsibility. Heaven doesn't promote you to make you comfortable. It promotes you to make you useful. Every new level demands new discipline. The distractions become louder, the temptations more subtle, and the attacks more strategic. But chosen one, remember this. What was built in the secret place will sustain you in the spotlight. You will begin to notice that elevation brings new types of warfare. Some will envy what they didn't endure for. Others will misread your silence as pride. But don't react, respond with wisdom. Those who are truly elevated understand that spiritual authority requires restraint. You can't fight every battle. Some victories come from staying still. In this stage, God watches how you handle visibility. Will you still seek His voice when the crowd is cheering? Will you still kneel when others are applauding? True promotion is sustained through humility. Never forget, that the throne is only stable when it's built on reverence. Chosen one, if you've entered your season of elevation, carry it with grace. You are not here to prove you made it. You are here to serve. The greater your reach, the deeper your roots must be. Stay hidden in His presence, even when the world can see you. That's how you remain unshaken. Chosen one, elevation doesn't mean everything happens at once. Even after God lifts you, He releases blessings in stages. Divine timing is a discipline that must be mastered. If you rush ahead of heaven's calendar, you risk losing what was meant to last. That's why patience remains essential, even at the peak. God's timing is not about delay, it's about design. He releases each opportunity when your spirit is mature enough to manage it. Sometimes you'll see glimpses of what's coming, but won't be allowed to touch it yet. That waiting is not denial, it's preservation. The promise is ready, but so must you be. The danger after elevation is haste. Many confuse momentum with maturity. Just because doors open doesn't mean you should walk through all of them. The Spirit will guide you to discern which opportunities are divine and which are distractions dressed as destiny. This is where wisdom becomes your compass. Remember, even Jesus waited 30 years before beginning His ministry. Preparation precedes manifestation. God doesn't withhold, He perfects. The time you spend waiting in obedience ensures that your elevation doesn't collapse under premature exposure. Every delay is secretly developing the character that your calling will demand. Chosen one, hold fast to the rhythm of grace. Don't let pressure make you impatient. When it's time, doors will open by command, not by struggle. Trust heaven's pace. It's slower than ambition, but faster than regret. Chosen one, when God elevates you, He entrusts you with influence, and influence is sacred. It's not just about visibility, it's about impact. Every word, every action, every decision carries weight in the spirit. The way you steward that influence determines whether your elevation remains a blessing or becomes a burden. Influence is a mirror of the heart. If pride rules you, it will reflect corruption. But if humility anchors you, it will reflect Christ. That's why God allowed you to experience isolation first. He needed to cleanse your motives before giving you a microphone. Those who haven't been hidden long enough misuse the light when it finds them. The purpose of influence is transformation. You are not raised to be admired, but to awaken others. Your story becomes a temple of hope. The same pain that once broke you now becomes a message that heals others. When you speak, it won't just be words, it will be oil flowing from your scars. This is also where discernment is critical. Not everyone drawn to your light belongs in your circle. Influence attracts both students and snakes. You must guard your environment, your energy, and your anointing. Keep your spirit sharp and your focus pure. What took years to build can crumble through a single moment of compromise. Chosen one, carry your influence with fear and trembling. Not the fear of failure, but the reverence of purpose. You represent the kingdom now. Let your life preach louder than your lips. Influence used rightly multiplies light. Used wrongly, it magnifies ego. Stay anchored in humility, and heaven will keep increasing your reach. Chosen one, once you endure the refining fire, survive the isolation, and embrace the breaking, something shifts within you. Authority is born, not the kind that demands attention, but the kind that commands it through presence. Divine authority doesn't shout. It speaks softly and creation listens. It's not about position, but submission. Authority flows naturally from a life fully surrendered. You will begin to notice that your words carry more weight. What you decree in prayer begins to manifest. You won't have to chase validation. Even the unseen will bear witness that heaven recognizes your voice. You've passed the test of obedience, and now your spirit carries the fragrance of one who's walked through fire and come out as gold. But authority is not a throne, it's a trust. God gives it to those who will use it to lift others, not to lord over them. Every miracle, every revelation, every influence you now possess must point back to Him. The chosen are never called to be celebrated. They're called to be channels. Authority without humility becomes tyranny, but authority anchored in love becomes legacy. Chosen one, remember the process that birthed this power. Never forget the nights of silence, the tears of surrender, the moments you nearly gave up. They are your reminders that authority is not inherited. It's earned through endurance. Walk in it boldly, but carry it gently. Heaven trusts you because you've proven trustworthy. Now, when you speak, speak life. When you move, move with intention. When you pray, pray with conviction. The authority you carry is not yours alone. It's a mantle for generations to come. Chosen one, elevation was never meant to end with you. It's meant to flow through you. God didn't separate you just to bless you. He separated you to send you. Now that you've tasted the power of transformation, heaven expects you to extend it. You become the living evidence that divine separation births destiny. This is the stage where you shift from receiving to releasing. Every lesson learned in the wilderness now becomes wisdom for others. You'll begin to attract people who are where you once were, confused, isolated, and weary. They'll see in you the strength they've been praying for. Don't just comfort them, guide them. You are their roadmap out of despair. God uses healed vessels to heal broken ones. You'll realize that the same fire that once burned you now ignites others through your testimony. Your voice becomes medicine. Your scars become sermons. Your endurance becomes empowerment. You're not just telling people that God elevates. You're showing them the pathway through your own life. Chosen one, this is where the cycle of divine elevation multiplies. When you lift others, your own influence expands effortlessly. Heaven rewards those who reproduce hope. The more you pour, the more you're filled. You'll see that the secret of sustained elevation is service. God raises those who raise others. So go forth, teach, speak, encourage, mentor, pray. Let your existence be a divine invitation for others to rise. Because true greatness is not how high you climb, but how many you help ascend. Chosen one, after everything you've endured, the silence, the pruning, the loneliness, the refining fire, comes understanding. You finally see that God's separation was never just about promotion. It was about preparation for a purpose that transcends this life. You weren't being isolated for a season. You were being positioned for eternity. God separates His chosen ones to preserve their purity, sharpen their perception, and align their lives with His eternal plan. The elevation isn't just about influence on earth. It's about readiness for kingdom assignment. Heaven is strategic. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was part of your divine conditioning for eternal usefulness. Now you understand why He had to take you away from certain people and places. If He hadn't, you would have settled. You would have mistaken comfort for calling. But He loved you too much to let you remain ordinary. Separation was His way of sanctifying your destiny. It was never rejection. It was divine selection. Chosen one, now you carry something greater than success. You carry significance. Your life itself becomes a prophetic message that what God separates, He sanctifies. What He sanctifies, He strengthens. And what He strengthens, He sends. You are no longer just a survivor of separation. You are a steward of elevation. So stand tall, chosen one. The process was not meant to break you, but to brand you with divine identity. And now, as you move forward, remember this eternal truth. God separates before he elevates, not to isolate, but to identify those he can trust with his glory.